Will you be looking at the live stream chat? Or I will too. I'll actually.
I just minimized it.
Right,
No,
I
I just minimized it. No. Yeah, I don't think I can do that unless I hit another monitor.
So I'm looking at the live stream now. Also,
Great.
I'm still.
As long as you don't have the audio one, though.
As
What?
long as you don't have the audio one. I'm still the only one.
Okay.
So let's do this.
So maybe Yvonne wants to do this in Berlin too. I hope that Imani does come because she's really great.
Yeah. Time to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, because I connected my MacBook.
Oh. Okay, so Carrie, can you maximize the screen so you can see what that looks like? I'm going to I'll set up the camera also so I'll just adjust the lights to make sure that we can see everything.
If people want to see the live stream, where they can connect to see it?
Oh, can you put the link in the Skype chat so that Carrie, or so that Yvonne can see it? It's just, isn't it just livestream.com?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, so we're going to chat the URL to you now, Yvonne, so that you can have it. Those on, but turn this one off. Can you see okay?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking.
And then whenever, I'm just going to go ahead and start recording on this one so I can go back to the
Yep.
So we'll have that.
So how long I have for the first intervention?
Well, you're the only one that we have speaking tonight, so it's very open. So I think we had talked before, and you had said that it would be something around 10 or 20 minutes, the presentation, which is fine. If you want to take longer, that's fine too.
Okay, maybe 20 and then we can start the discussion.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Alright, so what do you think, Carrie? You're good. So what do you think? Should just go for it? Yeah, should just go for it?
Did we put a sign up?
No, Hi.
And in other
Hi, Imani.
Hi,
Hi, Imani.
but also we have awful
I know it is. We're shocked that you came. What, Yvonne?
Sorry, Yvonne, could you say that again?
Sorry.
We had some people walking in.
I was asking if you have people that goes there, but also you have people through live stream, no?
Yes, well, we have some people here now. I'm looking at the live stream, and we had some difficulties. We had to create a new account. So hopefully people won't have trouble. People might. Right now, I'm the only one in the live stream room. So we'll see if people find us in the live stream for now. But at any rate, it's being recorded for posterity as well.
And we tweeted it out.
Right. And so we have some people following us on Twitter as well. So it's a small audience, but an audience nonetheless.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for showing up. It's like a hurricane. It's like your hair looks great though. Oh, thank you. Your hair looks great. Really Hi, I'm Carrie. I've seen you before. Hi, I'm Carrie. I've seen you before. You're pretty. What's to hold against you?
Oh,
You're pretty. What's to hold against you? Welcome.
So should we get started?
Yeah.
Do you wanna say just a little?
Yeah.
So that we have an introduction.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Today we are doing our third Rev Talk. Again, we visit South America or Latin America. I don't know which is the right way to call it. I think South America is better, right? Yeah. Although natives don't feel like it should be called America.
I don't know if that's true.
The Native Americans I know don't want to be called Americans. They don't like the word because it has a specific definition. But anyway, so South America. We talked before to Ezekiel Abramovsky from Argentina, and today we are talking to Yvonne Yanez from Ecuador. And she works on a project, has been working on a project for 10 years called Oilwatch. And they are asking us to cut our ties with oil and live in a different way. Respect the earth, have a consciousness about the earth. They've put many interesting laws in their books, one of which is that the earth has rights, and that's very inspiring. So we're going to talk to Yvonne today. She's going to give a PowerPoint presentation, and then we can ask questions. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. May I start? Okay. Well, first of all, please apologize because my English is not good. I mean, it's just I learned English just speaking with people from other southern countries, people from Africa or Southeast Asia. So my English is very limited to what I do in oilwatch. So, well, first of all, I want to apologize for that. So if I have problems to express myself with some particular things, please just interrupt me if it's not clear, and I can explain a little bit more what I am talking about. Well, first of all, oilwatch is a network. It's a southern network. And we have members in Africa, in Asia, in America Latina that are following up the impacts of oil activities in their and the violations to rights of nature because of oil activities. So this is oilwatch, and it was founded in 1996 here in Quito, in Ecuador. And since that, we have been making different proposals nationally in our countries and also internationally. And this is one of our proposals that I want to share with you today. And this is why I call this presentation Yes to Nice, that is an invented a new word. That means let's leave the oil in the soil, in the planet, like we start to do in the Yasuni National Park in Ecuador. And this is a real proposal against capitalism and clear and probably very efficient way to fight capitalism. So this is why I call this presentation Yes to Nice. In fact, we are asking the Academia of la Real Academia de la Lengua in Spanish to recognize this word. But they say that we have to look more use of this word before they introduce this in the dictionary. Anyway, so why oilwatch is asking to leave the oil in the soil as a way to cut the energy that sustains capitalism? It's because since the industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution, 152,000 years, 200 years ago, capitalism get strong and strong because of mainly fossil fuels, coal, and of course in the U.S. the first oil barge that was extracted in Pennsylvania in 1850. So this is why we say if we know that oil or hydrocarbons or fossil fuels are causing so much problems in terms of what I am going to show further, why not think the possibility to cut this source of energy and to see if we can start a new way of living locally, nationally, and of course globally. It's hard, but we have to. Not only because oil is going to finish, but because the capacity of the earth and of the peoples to continue supporting the impacts is the sincerity. So here, two or three pictures, two of them from Ecuador. This one here in the bottom and at the right are pictures taken in the Amazon, in Ecuador. Ecuador is an oil country since 40 years ago, and we know exactly what all activities means for the environment and for the peoples. And this type of projects and struggle against these projects that inspired oilwatch to continue with our job during these 15 years. And this is why we started to support the local communities that were resisting these activities. We start to ask the moratorium to oil activities. Then we start to think, no, we have to build energy sovereignty free of oil. And of course, after that, we start to think that is an obligation of us to start to leave the oil in the soil. And we said, well, we are going to do this with the first step in a special place in Ecuador called Arequipa. So the impacts, of course, are local. As I said, this one that we are seeing. Of course, this is a very famous picture of the Macondo platform in the Gulf of Mexico, BP, the BP case. In fact, BP is now being sued. There is a legal demand against BP in Ecuador, and I can explain why in Ecuador later, if you are curious to know. And of course, all activities causes glaciers melting, diseases, impoverishment, and of course flooding, etc., etc., etc. But oil is not only the cause of environmental things locally, the common or the most common and the most popular people knows, I mean, pollution or climate change. But also oil is feeding the accumulation with capitalism. First of all, it's feeding the overproduction of manufacturers, overproduction of um, crops in certain way, for example, for production of agrofuel, and of course, is feeding the production of machinery and the production of, in this case, the picture here of cars and the infrastructure associated, of course. And here another images about what oil means. Oil means a lot of flights that pollute the earth, cars, highways, etc. And of course, oil means also a different type of food production, like the industrial production of poultry or the industrial production of meat. And of course, oil means also the necessity to deforest, to cut, to change the use of the land and the ecosystem to cultivate, for example, agrofuels or cultivate industrial food production. And oil means oil in terms of, let's change, the oil capitalism, o el capitalismo petrolero en español, means many things, not only pollution, local, globally, means not only over-accumulation, but means also over-consumption. Like this picture that is the consumption of a German family during a week at the top left, means overconsumption of energy. For example, this picture of beautiful Paris, completely lightened, or Las Vegas, maybe, I don't know where it is, could be even Las Vegas with a simulation of Paris. I mean, it's just an example of how energy is spent and wasted. And of course, oil means all of these production of plastic and solid wastes that are most of the time dumped near impoverished neighborhoods, and also linked with the position of environmental race. Race is more environmental justice. And of course, the last picture here is another symbol of oil capitalism, that is the war. Not only because of the industrial, military, or the military industry is one of the most bigger consumer of oil and fossil fuels, but also because it is completely linked war with the quest to find more oil and control more oil fields in the world. It's clear? Okay.
Crystal.
And, sorry.
Crystal.
Okay. This, of course, I want to put emphasis in the idea of the crisis, of the crisis, environmental crisis caused by this oil civilization. But we always talk about the crisis like separately, one to another: environmental crisis, economic crisis, financial crisis. But we don't talk about what is the causes, or what is the real cause, or the real crisis of all of these different crises. And it is the overaccumulation crisis. And for me, this is a picture that shows very well.
1 second, Yvonne.
Um,
1 second,
could you
Yvonne.
repeat what you said before the over-accumulation of
Overaccumulation of money, overaccumulation of resources, power, all of this overaccumulation. All of this overaccumulation.
Thanks.
And while we're here, this is a very, very, now or accumulation of money, of accumulation of, of even of, of sensation things, no? Go to toilet or you don't know what to do with your money, so you now start to buy islands or land, and of course also means the oil means the financial crisis. For us, for the oil watch, one of the causes of the financial crisis, that is part of this crisis of accumulation, is caused mainly because of this overproduction linked with an Earth, a planet that cannot be overexploited, cannot be so in Ecuador, for example, nature is a subject with rights. So this accumulation crisis, this financial crisis, cannot continue at the same time that is violating nature and people's rights. So we say, if we know it, if we understand that oil is one of the main causes of all of the problems in the planet, instead to continue exploiting oil, instead to continue extracting the fossil fuels and causing the problems that we have seen in the slides before, why not just say, let's put the captive and stop to exploit the fossil fuels in our territory. So instead, say to us, the people, do not consume like that, do not waste, because it's difficult. We understand that it has been very difficult for years and decades to make a change in the patterns of consumption. So we say, okay, we are going to do this in a different way. We are going to stop the flow of the resources from the south to the north, and in that way we are going to help the industrialized economy to start to consume less and to change also the patterns of production that happens usually in the industrialized northern countries. But the problem is that instead to think about this logical solution, but to say, okay, let's cut the source of energy of capitalism and let's start again in a different way. What is happening now is that capitalism is creating a new phase that is trying to look for new ways to continue with this accumulation. And the new way is what is called the green capitalism. I put here three examples of just examples, no? of symbolic examples of what is green capitalism. We can hear a figure of the carbon market that is part of the market of environmental service. That is the capacity of the earth to recycle and the capacity of the earth to clean the carbon by the oceans, the forests, the land, the rock, the forest. Instead of respect this right of the earth, in order to continue with the consumption of fossil fuels, it created this carbon market. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about this later, but one of the symbols of this new phase of capitalism. Another is to start to promote the idea to consume green. So this credit card of Mastercard, just to show or to simulate to be a green consumer, they just put a leaf, a green leaf in the middle of the credit card. Uh, but also some brands and famous brands that are even accused by human rights violation and environmental crimes, like Coca-Cola. They just start to use the slogans and say, no, we are going to plant trees and take care of the water, etc. And they try to greenwash their image through this idea and the consciousness of the people that they say, no, yes, so we have to take care of the environment, etc. So they believe that these companies can be responsible from the point of view of social rights and environment. So I put these three examples. But other examples of the new green capitalism are these three images that I put here. Instead to say, okay, we are going to consume less oil, we are going to keep part of the oil in oil, we are going to consume less energy, or we are going to think about where the energy comes from. And it's a question to say, no, we are going to change the bulbs. We are going to put, instead of these light bulbs, we are going to put this, en español se dice bulbs ahorradores. Say bulbs, I don't know how do you call this in English. So the idea is like to change and think, okay, the change in technology is going to solve the problem. But this is not true, because behind these bulbs is also a production of energy that includes probably nuclear testing, or probably thermoelectrical plants, or probably other types of energy production that is also harmful for environment and for the people. But the idea is to say, we are going to change this bulb, and with this we are going to change the problem. Another symbol of this green capitalism is to think that there are green energy, like hydro dams or agrofuels. And of course, there is not, it is not true necessarily that this type of energy are clean or are good for environment, neither for the people. Because, of course, agrofuels is replacing agricultural land, is causing deforestation, and also social problems associated with that. But also, even other type of energy that seems to be like nice, and which is like aeolic energy or solar even. If we don't think that, if we think that the idea is to try to replace oil with the same quantity of energy requirements and necessity with other types of energy, we will have the problem that we will need thousands of kilometers full of these aeolic generators, or full of solar plants, for example. So the idea is to think the energy that we are producing is what for, which type of energy, how much, what we are going to do with this energy, who is going to use it, etc., and then to decide which type of energy. But of course, green capitalism is full of advertisements. Now energy is clean because we are using solar, or we are using wind, and we are using other water for production. But there is any analysis of the ecological problems linked social, ecological problems with linked with it. So in summary, what is happening with this new phase of capitalism is that they are looking for have a green image of oil, oil activities and oil production and extraction and consumption and etc. So this the image for me is very it's a good illustration of what is. But because of the problem linked with oil and they're avoiding to take decisions to solve this problem. Sorry, a little interruption here. Sorry. So instead to take the solution and say, okay, no, we are going to use less oil. No, we are going to invent another type of oil. And they are inventing what is called now the green economy, and that is well promoted through the Rio Plus 2020 conference that will be held in June. So what they want now is not only to say, okay, we are going to consume more, we are going to greenwash, we are going to have carbon trading. No, they are also now pushing for a new market of new commodities, like for example, water, biodiversity, all the cycles of nature, all what the nature gives us, like for example, beautiful landscapes, or pollination, or whatever. All of these is called the environmental services, and they want to create a market for these environmental services with the signatures of the president in Rio Plus. So I put here two examples, just two. The Stevens Bank in the U.S. That's a bank, virtual bank that you can buy the right to destroy some particular city somewhere in the U.S. and you buy the right to destroy this or to kill this through the support to not to a project somewhere else that is protecting a similar piece or a similar ecosystem of the ones that you are destroying elsewhere. Also, you have here an image of RED, the new project that will be soon approved, and we are in the middle of the readiness for that. That is the reduction of emissions through deforestation and land degradation and forest degradation. And that means the violation of the indigenous communities and the local communities to use their forests as they've been doing this for centuries. And the idea is that they will spend economical incentives to protect the forest, but in fact, the objective of this is to put these lands and these forests under the environmental services market and to supposedly reduce the emissions that are emitted elsewhere, or to protect the biodiversity that could be destroyed elsewhere, or so on. So in this condition is that was born the idea to use the oil in the Yasuni National Park that is located in the eastern part of Ecuador, near a map, and in green the Yasuni National Park. That is also the ancestral territory of several indigenous people in Ecuador, and even part of these indigenous people are self-isolated. 50 years ago, they decided that they do not want any more contact with civilization, so they just went into their forest and they decided to cut the contact with civilization. The Yasuni National Park is probably one of the most biodiverse parks in the world. And also they have oil, it has oil underground, almost almost 1 billion barrels of oil. Less, a little bit less, but 1 billion barrels. So what we were saying is we don't want to have another Texaco case. Texaco is the company that is being now um, being sued, juzgada.
Yeah. Suit is right.
Yeah.
It's
In
it's
Ecuador, in the Ecuadorian court,
yeah.
because of the damage, and the sentence of the judge said that the Texaco has to pay 19 billion dollars for the land that has damage to the people. So we say, okay, we have the experience of Texaco, we don't want to have the same experience in other parts of Ecuador. So let's go and let's go and say, okay, um, um, leave the oil in the soil in the one of the blocks that is in the Yasuni National Park. But this idea to leave the oil in the soil is not an invention. This is an invention of the local communities that have been struggling since decades ago, saying we don't want more oil in our territories because we know what it means for us. People like here in Ecuador, or in Colombia, like Uwa people in Colombia that are struggling since many years ago. They are saying we don't want oil in our territory. For those that, like in the case of Texaco, they say we already suffer so much. We don't want more oil in our territory. So they don't want open new activities, or they don't want the expansion of oil activities in that territory. And also, this voice was brought abroad in the international negotiations of climate change. And we say, okay, we are making an effort in Ecuador, leaving the oil in the soil, and it's fair that the industrialized countries help for us with a solidarity contribution to do this change in our economy, in our society, in order to repair the damaged land, but also in order to invest in energies that are fossil fuel free, but also to invest in social rights that are most of them linked with the income from the oil activity. So we say, okay, we need the support of the international community, and this is why also in international negotiations of biodiversity and climate change, we have been promoting this idea to leave the oil in the soil in the Yasuni National Park. Okay, so where we are now, after after this the launch of the campaign of the Yasuni campaign, leaving the oil in the soil.
Do you want to go into your camera mode because we can't see you? We're just seeing your screen. You need to change out of share. What's it called, Mary? Change out of the share screen mode so that we can see you. Change out of the share screen mode so that we can see you. But you need to turn your camera on, yeah.
Ahí,
But you need to turn your camera on.
there,
Yes.
okay. So,
No.
no?
Oh, yeah, it's a map.
Yes.
Okay.
I just came back to the map.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, in 2006, we presented to the Presidente Correa the idea to leave the oil in the soil in the ITC block in the Yasuni National Park. And at the beginning, she thought that it was a good idea. And she accepted and declared this a national and state policy. But Correa is a president, as most of the presidents in the regions, like Evo Morales or like Hugo Chavez, they really believe in a development of the country based on extractive industries, mining, to be like a progressive government, etc. In fact, what they are doing is perpetuating the model of development based on the extraction of raw materials and the exports of them to the international market. And the moment that they receive this idea, they link the success of the proposal to the support of the international community. But of course, during these years, not only that, the government has confusal proposal internationally because they were saying, okay, we are going to be here in the soil, but only if you give us the money. But also, they were nationally and locally, internally, pushing for the oil extraction in these oil blocks. So it was a signal and a confused message internationally. So of course, it was not easy to get the money for that. But we are saying, okay, if we want a different effort, if we want a shift of our model of development that is based on oil that is causing so much problems locally, we don't need to have international support of the international community. We have to decide to leave the oil in the soil in this block because this is a good idea for Ecuador, for the world. And of course, we are in a battle here because the government wants to. Now. So what we are doing at oilwatch now, and with this I am going to finish the presentation, is to replicate, to do other cases similar to the Yasuní National Park in other parks in the world. We are doing this with local communities and organizations in Guatemala. That they are going to have their proposal to use the oil in the soil in La Laguna del Tigre. We are working this with Bolivian organizations that are developing a proposal to leave the oil in the soil in the Amazonia Boliviana. We are doing with Colombian organizations that are pushing for a proposal to leave the oil in the soil in San Andres, in the Caribbean, in Colombia. And other organizations in Africa, for instance, in Nigeria, they are saying we are going to do the same in Ogoniland and so on. So the idea to leave the oil in the soil in a particular place in Ecuador is becoming more and more a global proposal with different examples in different parts of the world. So this is why it's so important to create alliances with organizations that first of all understand the problem of capitalism linked with the extraction of fossil fuels. This is so important to link our proposal with other groups that are understanding the crisis in a different way. And of course, who link with organizations all over the world that understand that the only way to fight climate change, the only way to start to think in a different society and civilization is to start to leave the oil in the soil and to say that our first step is the Yasuní National Park, but we have to Yasunite the world. Finish.
Thank you.
So we have time for questions now. Is there anything that anyone? Oh, I don't know. Can you hear me okay, Yvonne?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
I
I'll
can
move
hear.
over here. It's a big room. So, was there were there any questions that anyone here had about what Yvonne was talking about, like the history, for instance, of in Ecuador of halting oil exploration and extraction in exchange for international aid? I kind of wanted to
Yeah, I'd like to hear more.
maybe expand on that, just because it's not common knowledge here, unfortunately.
You mean for example, the advocate?
The well the
No, sorry, I didn't get exactly
sure
what was the question.
sure, I'll ask again. So what was the proposal that came from the government of Ecuador to the international community?
Okay, the proposal, the proposal was a proposal um, inspired by the local struggle and more, let's call, developed in terms of objectives, etc., by oilwatch.
Can you,
Okay?
sorry, can you hold on just one second? There's a weird noise.
I think we're having a
Sorry, can
fire
you hold on
alarm
just one
in
second?
our
There's a
building.
weird noise. Is that what that? It's
I
not
think so.
flashing.
I know.
Is that what that?
1 second,
It's not
Yvonne.
flashing.
Okay.
We're having some alarm. 1 second,
Oh,
we're having some
that's a
alarm.
fire.
1 second.
Oh,
Yeah, but
that's a fire.
it was just a test.
Yeah, it was just a test.
Seeing if you're awake.
Oh my gosh. Sorry about that, Yvonne. The fire alarm in our building went off, but now it's not going off anymore. So please continue.
Are you sure you're not going to die
Please
burn?
continue. I mean, I can't be 100% sure, no. So we might as well just keep going. No. So we might as well just keep going.
What the government said at the beginning, in 2007, we had the opportunity to have energy minister that it was that it is a friend of us and friend of the social. So we convinced them that this was a good idea, and he presented to the government, to Rafael Correa. So what Correa did at the beginning was, okay, we are going to have this proposal and we are going to promote it internationally. And what he was saying is that, okay, we are going to leave 847 million barrels of oil underground. That in terms of income from the country will represent more or less $7 billion. So we are going to leave it underground if we receive half of this income, meaning $3.5 billion during 10 years. The idea was to have $350 million per year. But this was not easy because first of all the different discourses of the government internationally very confused and of course creating like suspicious and things and also contradictory because he was promoting the idea to leave the oil in the soil but at the same time promoting the carbon market. But both of them are completely contradictory.
Yvonne, sorry.
You have to leave.
I have no idea. Did anyone understand what that said?
No
idea. I couldn't even understand what it was
You're
saying.
experiencing an alarm.
That's it? I'm not leaving until somebody tells me to leave.
Yeah.
This light has to go on for me.
Yeah,
Are
at
you
least.
sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yvonne, can you
Yeah, at
put
least-
your screen in your camera
I'm
mode
sure.
so that you're, because right now you're, no, that's our camera.
Right.
Because I don't know if that'll work, but.
Yeah, so iniciar
Yeah.
el video.
Ahí.
Yeah, so el video. Let's see.
Yes,
Ahí.
great.
And can you see us, or do you just see the picture? And can you see
I
us,
see the picture.
or do you just see the picture? I tried to turn on our camera, but it's not working. Oh. Well, anyway, we can see you.
So
but it's not working.
the proposal,
Well, anyway,
just
we
so
can
I
see you.
understand, was that in exchange, so the government, the Ecuadorian government would not extract oil in exchange for like like monetary reimbursement. But where was that money coming from? The like $350 million per year.
From the polluters,
Right.
industrialized countries.
So from the industrialized nations.
So the
Yes, from the U.S., from
Right.
the
so the,
European Union, Japan, etc.
so the proposal was that the polluting nations would pay Ecuador to not extract oil.
To make a solidarity contribution.
Mhm.
Right. So okay.
Because we are doing a solidarity contribution with the world,
Mhm.
in the extent that we can live without oil, and of course also avoiding emissions and protecting the most diverse parts of the world and respecting human rights of the last indigenous people isolated, etc.
No, of course. I mean, I completely agree that that's rational in a humanitarian and ecological sense, but capitalist nations are irrational in a humanitarian and ecological sense. So, I mean, how did that proposal? It doesn't seem like something that would really fly, or sorry, that would really be that people would really agree to.
Another argument is not only because this is a good, altruist or whatever. It's because we recognize the existence of the ecological debt.
Right.
The ecological debt that the industrialized countries owe to the southern countries, like Ecuador, must
Totally.
be repaired.
Right.
One way to repair it is, for example, to give a contribution to Ecuador to shift to a post-oil Ecuador society.
Right. Yeah, you would think that, well, it's the proposal that makes the most sense in a in a system that is a capitalist system, in that anything with value has to have monetary value, or that you express value through dollars or whatever currency you're experiencing. You know what I mean?
So I think I understand. Instead of paying a monetary, instead of paying off ecological like debt for having destroyed the ecosystem, the ecological like debt they're not extracting. I just don't understand like how this is this agreement something that's actually being agreed upon, or is it a sort of kind of ideological proposal that I mean I don't
You
understand.
mean in the case of the ecological debt or the Yasuni proposal concretely?
Um, just the whole idea that instead of so the idea is that instead of paying off instead of the industrialized nations paying a monetary debt to Ecuador and other developing nations from whom they've reaped enormous profits from exploiting the land, they're going to allow the land from now on to remain unspoiled.
Well, depends. For example, in the case of the ecological debt, for example, that we are claiming for, and for example, if we want to apply this to the Yasuni, it means implies also the restoration of the damaged land. In the Amazonia, where already have been taking place activities, no? Besides the Texaco places, because they are not going to pay what Texaco has to pay.
Mhm.
But
That's another
there are
thing.
other places. There is a lot of millions of hectares damaged.
Right.
So, if you want to repair this in terms of environment aspects, but also social aspects, we can do two things. Okay, we don't want the money, but you have to repair the land and give us back the same land that it was before you start the exploitation. If this costs, we don't care. You have to, I don't know, you have to take care of the cost. But in terms of social rights, of course, it's impossible to pay the dead people with cancer. But you can say, the use of monetary terms are useful to say, okay, we have 3,000 people with cancer. How much costs one person to cure cancer in the U.S., for example? Or how much it costs here? We want these people, we don't care if it is $3,000 of death or $100,000. We want these people to recover health. Here, in the US or wherever, you know. So, of course, you have to use the monetary value.
Right.
Because sometimes you need to compare, for example, with external debt, you have to compare of how much will cost, for example, to desalinizar the water that is polluted with the production waters.
Desalinate.
Oil, desalinate, production water. So you have to use that.
Right.
It's almost unavoidable.
Right.
It's almost
Yeah.
unavoidable.
Right. Well, it's the only form of value that we really understand.
But sorry, but
Yeah.
the important thing related with reparation, not only in terms of the debt, the reparation of where some crimes have been committed, etc., is the warranty of non-repetition. Is the warranty of
Say again.
la garantía de no repetición.
Say again. Oh, and what?
So that means, okay, you the deed, you are going to pay for that, but
We can't do it again.
you are not going to do it again.
We can't do it
And
again.
so this is a proposal that's supported by Carrera and
Korea.
Korea.
No.
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 In terms of probably theoretically, yes. But he never really takes serious the idea. At the beginning of the government, there were a couple of ministers that were, talking about this,
Right.
internationally, things like that. But it was only a rhetoric issue. But I think that it's a lot of opportunity. But I think that with the Yasuni case, he could really do this. To say, okay, we are going to do this, but we want to claim the ecology, and not to say, okay, we are going to put this in the carbon market, things like that.
And so, how are people going to prevent oil exploitation from happening if this proposal is not accepted by the oil industry?
Okay, and first of all, during these years, with Acción Ecológica, that is my environmental organization, and oilwatch here, we have been working a lot in terms of to make very visible the Yasuni as a symbol for the Ecuadorian. We have been working with children, with youth people at schools, high schools, elementary schools, etc., etc. So now it was positioned the Yasuni, and the aim of these people is to leave the oil in the soil in the Yasuni, even without the international contributions. So this is it's important for two things. First of all, because of course we have spread the voice in the Ecuadorian society that we have to defend the Yasuni because it's the most beautiful place in the world, but also because we elevate so much the image of the Yasuni that the political cost for Correa if he starts to exploit will be very high.
Right.
So, and also in Ecuador we have a very good constitution that obligates the president for this case to have a popular constitution called by the Assembly, by the Congress. So we are saying, okay, we need to call for a consultation, and he knows the problem for him is that he knows that probably he will lose. So this is what is going on now. So the Victorians are defending the Yasuni. They know very well what it's about, and the Correa is under pressure. But this year is an electoral year. and he knows that the Yasuni gives him votes, and so probably this year he's not going to exploit, but maybe next year. But we are going to invent other strategies. But we are going to invent other strategies.
Oh, I was going to move to a slightly different topic if that you had more questions.
Oh, I was going to ask about
Okay, cool. One of the things that most excited me about your presentation was the idea of Yasunizing other areas across around the world, and it's very exciting to hear about those conversations and that level of organization happening internationally. I'm trying to think if I have a question in there.
I do.
Oh, you do?
That's what I was
Awesome. There we
gonna
go.
ask about.
Awesome.
I heard about.
I do. Oh, you do? Awesome.
I'm from New Orleans, and I heard about a group of indigenous people from Ecuador who were in communication with the Homa Native Americans in Louisiana, who were really horribly affected by the BP oil spill, the Deepwater Horizon spill in the Gulf. Do you know anything about about these negotiations?
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew that some months ago, some people from the Ecuadorian Amazonia affected by Texaco went and visited an Amazon Watch, I think, organized an exchange with people affected near New Orleans or something like that.
Yeah.
I know this link, and yes, it's very good because the one strategy that oilwatch has been doing since 15 years ago is doing this type of exchange. And of course it's different when you see and you listen to people directly. But I want to share with you another issue regarding the BP and the Deep Horizon.
Oh.
Is that are you listening to me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Ecuadorian Constitution recognizes nature as a subject, no? Como un sujeto.
Yeah.
A subject with
Citizen.
rights.
Yeah.
And last year, we start to create a doctrine around this idea to have nature as a subject of rights. And to recognize the international jurisdiction.
We're okay. We're alive.
We're okay. Everyone's still alive. We might be on fire.
We're okay. We're alive.
We're okay. Everyone's still alive. We might be on fire. We're okay. Everyone's still alive. We might be on fire. Oh, you just said everything is fine.
Okay. We're not going to die in fire.
It was the alarm that everything's okay. It's the everything's okay alarm. It was the alarm that everything's okay. It's the everything's okay.
But go ahead.
Sorry, please continue.
What were you saying?
We were thinking about
Sorry, please continue.
the idea of the international jurisdiction of nature. Because nature is not just, nature is the whole nature. So, of course, there is an international jurisdiction of that nature. So, we invited some famous people, and they came here, and they put a legal demand against BP because of the damage in the Gulf of Mexico, appealing the international jurisdiction of the rights of the sea. So the sea is one only sea.
Mm-hmm.
No? So the good thing is that even he is now obligated to pay to the local communities that were in exchange with his friends, indigenous people from Ecuador. Also, besides of these damages that were, and the people that die on the platform, there is a legal demand against BP in Ecuador that is still going on, and in August there will be probably a sentence. BP must repair and prove the complete reparation of the damage. But the most beautiful thing is that we are asking BP to leave the same quantity of barrels that were still underground. I think if the steel was 5 million barrels, BP should be obligated to stop the extraction of 5 million barrels more.
Yeah. That is an elegant proposal.
So we were talking about money in this case. The demand is not asking for money at all. The demand for the jurisdiction rights, international jurisdiction of the rights of the sea, is asking for the restoration of the damages, for the keeping the oil in the soil the same quantity, and of course the non-repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a case of non-monetary valuation.
Right. But what jurisdiction is this in terms of judiciary?
Because Ecuador has this as a part of our law, our constitution. So the trial could be here in the place where existed this law.
That is a really interesting question. That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I something that occurred to me while you were the idea something that occurred to me while you were not just the idea but the fact that it is a reality, at least in Ecuador, is that so we, something that I keep getting hung up on when it comes to like the capitalist worldview, which is that you have to put a things that have value thus have equivalent monetary value, and when you find something that you can't put monetary value on, it just becomes valueless. Right, a problem that you ignore, or it effectively valueless. But at the same time, a capitalist society still has things called rights. Like at least we pretend that we do. We like to think that we have rights, and that's something that is commonly understood as not having a monetary value. Rather, sometimes it can, a monetary in our system of justice, at least there can be monetary value put on it if you sue for damages, that sort of thing. But what's so exciting to me about the idea of actually legally giving nature rights as a being in the eyes of the law is that it's a recognition that there are things of value that cannot be quantified monetarily, and it's actually to me that's a good inroad in talking about what in basically in beginning conversations that could lead somewhere in terms of effective policy change and in terms of building the conversation around, well, okay, we value things, definitely, and it's possible to value things that can't be quantified monetarily. How do we deal with that? And this seems like an elegant first step in that.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond saying that there are things that we can't value, it's saying that the things that we put value, all of the value that we thought something had, we can say we have this idea that we can quantify the amount of value that a tree has as far as how much fire it can give, or how much paper you can turn it into. But to say that something has value in and of itself is something that really has only ever been in at least capitalist society given to a human being.
Right.
But it is interesting, the whole idea of reparations and being able to pay someone for their physical or emotional or mental damage, because that goes almost completely against our entire concept of the dignity of human life.
Yes, but there is in the Texaco case, there is an interesting question that I wanted to share also with you, is that the judge in the provincial court here give the sentence establishing that Texaco must pay 9 billion,
Mhm.
9.8 billion.
I remember.
But the judge said, okay, if you don't ask for an apology, public apology, to the Ecuadorian citizens and to local communities, this lack of apology will be double. We are not talking about this 9 billion extra or this almost 10 billion extra. We're not consider in terms of the monetary valuation of the reparation of the land, of the health problem, etc. This is the cost of an apology.
Right.
So, of course, the plaintiffs were asking for 27 billion in terms of reparation. So even the apology is 9 billion more, and so that means that the Texaco must pay like 18 billion. It is much more less than what the plaintiffs were asking for the whole reparation. But here is a symbolic thing, symbolic and practical thing, that is okay. We are going to put a certain amount of money of something that is an apology of the company, a public apology to say, okay, we are sorry because we did this, and we are sorry because we were very unfair also with the trial. But of course, the Texaco didn't do that. So there is also this monetary issue, very, very difficult to see where is the limit, no? Very difficult.
Well, that brings in the discussion me to this question about. So Occupy Wall Street has claimed autonomy from the state, and we don't believe in trying to enter the system and changing the laws because we believe that it's beyond reparation. It's completely corrupt and dead. And so we are setting out to build anew. However, it sounds like, and a lot of people have come to this conclusion, we still have to deal with the judiciary arm of the government. So in our government, we have three branches, and one is the judiciary. So do you think it's at all possible to completely remove ourselves from any sort of form of government and do this work that you're talking about? Or do we have to deal with the judiciary?
I don't know very well what is happening in the U.S. I don't know very well, I mean, in terms of possibilities, no? But in Ecuador, because Ecuador is a plurinational country, in the constitution is recognized as a plurinational and multicultural country. So this makes immediately that the indigenous peoples, the indigenous nationalities can have the possibility to have their own jurisdictional system, their own possibility to administrate justice, their own possibility to have their own system, judicial system. So in the case of Ecuador, in fact, it is happening because sometimes they where some crimes are committed in indigenous communities. I don't know. They just say no. We don't want the Ecuadorian state jurisdictional system or whatever. No, we are going to apply ourselves our juridical customaries. I don't know how do you say
Customs.
and they do that. Of course, and it depends on the crime, I guess. And of course, if you are, I don't know, committing, you are killing people, I don't know. But they are saying, no,
Like,
for
yes.
example, it was, I don't know, a rape of a young woman. It's a case, it's a real case, no? So they wanted the court wanted to put the four young men, between 16 and 18, in jail. And the community and the leaders of the community, they say no, because there will be not a reparation, a real reparation, and this is not just So they say, no, okay, we are going to have our own system, and the families of the young men have to make communitarian work and to help the family of the young lady, things like that for years. And this is a real preparation. So in the case of Ecuador, because of the plurinationality, we I can see a possibility, but I don't know in other countries.
That's
That
fair.
is difficult. It's not something that is easy. There is also a fight and a permanent conflict between, the system, the state, the sistema estatal,
Yeah.
and the communitarian system.
Yeah. The state versus the state
Community?
versus
And the
people. The people.
customary system, okay, consuetudinario.
The people.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question that we cannot answer tonight. Um, do we have any more questions?
Do you have any questions for us,
Oh,
Ivan?
yeah. Do you,
Well,
Do you have any questions for us,
oh,
Ivan?
yeah.
not now. I think that for us it would be very good to maintain the contact and and to continue doing things and sharing what you're doing. We don't know too much here of what is happening with the movement there because of course the media is, it would be good to inspire ourselves.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
we're getting ready to go to Berlin, and one of the people that is here to see your presentation is here to talk to us about that a bit, because we're going to be there for a couple of weeks, and we'd like to bring in voices like yours to Berlin, because there's a convergence there. And there has been, for 2 months, there's a convergence. And it would be great if you could do this presentation again in Berlin. Are you going to Rio?
See,
You are. Are you going to Rio? Well, you
Yeah,
are.
there are some people here who are organizing some actions in New York around the Rio Plus 20 conference. There are people going to Rio.
Guess who's going to Rio? Queen Mother.
Nice.
So they're sending a contingency from here to Rio. And we can connect you with them. But it would also be nice if we could connect with you there. I remember when you went to South Africa.
yeah.
Yeah, and I tried to connect with you there, but you were very, very busy. Durban. I had one question about Durban. So, how are these ideas that you have received in Durban?
Well, I think that in the People's Forum, I think that in some of the spaces and in the convergence movement, it was very well accepted, of course. In the I don't know what they call it, in the movement talking about death or the environmental justice and things like that. But in terms of it was not a possibility to talk too much about the local movement in South Africa, and I think that this was a problem, a real problem there, that the local movement can really have the possibility to talk and to listen with some maybe ideas, different ideas, no? And also it was the other part where these ¿cómo se llamaba el corner? Speaker corners, where all the people, the youth people and the occupied people that were there were talking. I think that it was not too many people going there, so also it was difficult, I think, to spread more this idea. I didn't like the conference and what happened in Durban. No, but I said that on that moment to our friends in South Africa. It was difficult for me to understand what were going on also in terms of social and local movements related with the people's space and things like that. It was difficult to understand.
Right. So yeah, we talk about that often when we're having giant discussions about the future of the movement, like scalability. People always talk about scalability as an issue, and I think actually
It's what?
I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast.
Scalability.
Oh, scalability of decision making mostly, like people don't understand how you can have like a small GA in a local area and then scale that up to like a global GA. And
A global what? Sorry?
General Assembly.
Ah, okay.
so and people are like, we can't have horizontal governance because of scalability, and I think it's kind of a non-issue. I think it's sort of like this facade of sorts, because in actuality the local GA is the most important component, and it doesn't need to scale up necessarily.
Right.
And it doesn't need to scale up.
I think, well, I don't know, when you say that, like, what has happened with the Yasuni in Ecuador is an illustration of the local being the driving force
I was thinking about it
behind everything. And it's not.
because now PSP is a very small place in the world, but this scalability is depending of the in the case of the SME, it depends of the strength of the proposal. You know, it's so sure, it's so clear to say, okay, let's keep the oil in the soil because of we know because of why. But this is why it immediately it spreads and it could become a huge thing. You know, it's just because it's not because we are three people in the secretariat. I mean, we are not too many. We don't have too many resources, but we work exactly. So the idea is to take this small thing to convert it in a global.
Right.
And it's not the strategy; it's a proposal to a different civilization.
Yes.
So I think that depends of the power of the proposal itself.
Right. So in you were talking about in your presentation that that these greenwashing campaigns that they're doing aren't the answer, and like because of production and such. But some of the successes in Germany, particularly in terms of the environment, have been regarding wind power and solar power, but they've been very localized. Like small townships are going green, and they're going off the grid, and they've made agreements with each other to be wind powered and be solar powered, and I think there are instances where it's not greenwashing. It's actual, solid people going green. So
Yeah, because they were asking the right questions, no? To whom, what for, how much, and then to decide which type of energy. I mean,
yeah.
of course, they decided that probably in a very democratic process or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not because solar is bad, of course.
Right.
Solar is good.
Yeah.
It depends.
Depends on how the panels are produced and such. Yeah.
Well, and also, I mean, you point to a really important subject, which is that our entire way of life is unsustainable, and we can keep, even if we were to go completely green, and if we were to try to use solar energy to power our system, our way of life as it is, we would still be consuming and using and wasting too much energy. And I think, where you show the image of Las Vegas with the horrible neon Eiffel Tower and everything lit up, and that's how it is here in New York. You'll see lights on all day, all night, whether anyone's using the building, and that's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense, and that's the sort of thing that we don't need to. I mean, we need to just eliminate that out of our entire thinking that we can't go on thinking that that is normal or necessary or even acceptable. And I think that's why these local indigenous movements are so important for people to listen to. But it's there's also a problem because we're so comfortable in our way of life and we're so afraid. We have this image in our mind that it's either this way, this completely built up industrial, wasteful society, or going back and living, living in nature, and we don't know where the middle ground is. We don't know how far we need to go, to create a sustainable society. And I feel like that's a question that no one really knows sort of how to answer, or that we're all afraid of even asking.
Yeah. But the important thing is, of course, that the individual solutions are important. Okay, I am going to turn off the lights and things like that. But the most important is to take these decisions collectively, in terms of communities, in terms of neighborhoods, in terms of society. And this will give the change more effective, no?
Yeah, it's really funny because the cops, harass us a lot here when we're doing actions, and they often say things to me about, that I have an iPhone, that I have this shishi fufu camera, and they're like, you're just a poser. You're no different than us. And it's very funny. It's a hard road to cross. That's for certain. But I think that what you did in Ecuador with the forest was that you had a serious, long-term campaign, a very, very long-term campaign. And of course you were right, so that helped. But
It does help to be right.
yes, it does help to be right. But that doesn't mean that wrong campaigns haven't, succeeded. But yeah, I think that it has to be that way. You have to, information has to be spread.
Yeah.
What do wealthy and middle class people in what is the sort of general national sentiment towards these proposals to leave the oil in the soil? What's the national consensus in Ecuador?
About this campaign?
Yeah, amongst just city dwellers, amongst people who are looking to live a city lifestyle like people in the United States do. Who what does I'm trying to get a sense of how, whether there's a sort of broader societal understanding in Ecuador versus sort of what we have here, where even though people might have a vague sense that things are kind of screwed up in the United States and capitalism isn't working and we're destroying our future, but we're not really going to support any of these viable, we're not going to actually work to change it.
Well, in Ecuador, in Ecuador, it's very sketchy and extraordinary because people here, 80% of the people support Correa, for example. That means that they support what he's doing. But at the same time, if you ask the same people, are you agree with leave the oil in the soil in the SME, they will say yes. At the same time, if you make a poll and ask the people, ordinary people, variety of people in the city, if you ask them, okay, do you think that the mining should be expanded? Probably they will say no. Of course, in the rural areas, everybody is against mining because they will be the first affected people. No? Now we are in a process of expansion expansion of mining. We didn't have, but the government is now making contact with some companies or international companies. So ordinary people here catch and accept the idea that we have to leave the oil in the soil in the Yasuni because the Yasuni is the most beautiful place in the world that we have here in Ecuador. And we have to save it. So it's a proud issue for the Ecuadorian, the ordinary Ecuadorian. But at the same time, the same people, if they are not questioning necessarily the expectative type of o sea, el modelo extractivo de desarrollo. Not necessarily. Maybe they think that to leave the oil in the soil in the Amazon is good because we are destroying the Amazon. But they don't probably question the model itself. You see, this is something that we have to work. And the issue of the expansion of the mining is an opportunity to this. Because we are even saying that we are going to nationalize some parts of the Ecuador that will be concessioned to mining companies. So the idea is to take one issue and take this as an example to try to open a debate about which type of society we want. And the Yasuni was an excellent about which, and of course we are still on that, no? And the Yasuni was an excellent. But I think that now, of course, we are still on that.
Yeah. Same with us.
Okay.
But that's amazing that we were able to go this long. Thank you so much for
I
your time.
know, amazing.
No, and we have to be in contact to continue the contact and share with us and share with me when will be other red stuff.
Oh yes, of course. We will keep you in the loop.
Yeah, we're gonna be in
Oh, yes, of
Berlin
course.
from the 1st of June to the 14th. So it would be great if you can do something. From the 1st of June
Okay,
to the 14th.
yeah, let's talk and plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
De nada, adiós.
Muchas gracias.
Bye. Muchísimas gracias.
Oh, we're still ready because my battery.
Bye.
Hello, battery.
You shush, camera. You can't tell me what to do.
They always make the camera voices.
You shush, camera. Yeah. You can't
My
tell
friend
me
is
what
really
to
upset
do.
with the iPhone. They always make the camera voices.
Siri?
Yeah.
You can't, oh, so Siri
Yeah.
can't do a male voice? Interesting. Siri?
Yeah.
Perfect. It's like an extension of the male
maid.
gaze.
Yeah. The maid.
Male gaze.
The maid. You males.
That rather varies.
You males.
If you call the city 311, the operator is actually living in the train station.
Yeah, I've gotten both male and
Right, because women don't know where they're going. You need a man to give you good direction.
I don't
These shoes really could not be wetter.
Then they're ruined.
These shoes really could not be wetter. Don't say that.
Then they're ruined. I won't say it. So I took a little shot of you and the dinos. I won't say it.
That's totally fine.
The dinosaur's super cute.
No, for you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, the rest of them
Oh, for me? Okay.
Mary, where is
Yeah.
What?
It's like out of a...
laboratory.
Oh, so if you go back to the elevators and then keep walking down that hallway, it'll be on your right. Elevators and then keep walking down that hallway, it'll be on your right.
I really like the room setup this way better.
Well, that's sort of why I kept it because the proscenium is not really what we're going for here. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like I would rather it not be this giant table, but and it's like I would rather it not be this giant.
I didn't. It's not
But
when you were working.
it's like I would rather it not be this giant.